Boxing King Media in association with Boxer. We've got Atif Shafiq. We have come down to your gym in Rotherham. I feel like we should be talking about your next fight, but we are talking about your retirement. How's things been for you since your last fight? It's been what, over a year now?
It's been a couple of years now. It's been 2 and 3 months, or what was it, September 2019. Had that fight, didn't get the result. I was meant to fight again in November. In Scotland it was, but then that somehow fell through, and to be honest, I had a bit of problems with my hand, as people are probably aware now. I was dealing with a lot of pain that year, and I had a checkup November 2019, and I was told the cartilage in my wrist is basically nothing there, bone on bone. That was the pain I was going through, and it was time to pack up. November 2019 was rough. December I got over it. January I signed up to get a job working in a school just as a teaching assistant. February lockdown came, no March, so I started that, enjoyed that. And then March lockdown came and I got furloughed, so that was good. And then 2 years on, sat here at this gym here with my friend Abdul. He brought me in to get this place up and running with him. And I've got my own company going into different schools, delivering a boxing program. Kids struggling with confidence, anxiety, resilience, or anger management I work with. So I'm at 4 different schools at the moment. That's my day job, which I love. And then in the evenings I'm here again, boxing. So 2 years on and boxing is my life again.
Great. I feel like you've kind of skipped through the entire interview, but I'm not going to let you get off that lightly. So we're just going to skip back a little bit. So for the people that don't know, obviously you suffered a horrific injury on your hand. I believe that you fell off a bike in Spain. Just briefly tell us what happened. How did the story go? Am I right in saying Kell Brook came to your rescue?
Just me. So this is a good story. No one really knows this unless you know me. You'll know it, but if you don't, so I think it was 2016. We were in training camp for Ventura. This was the February after I beat Ginger Rocket. I think it was September I beat Ginger Rocket. I fought again in December. We were in training camp in February. Kell fought Diego Chavez in March, or was meant to fight Diego Chavez. No, it was a different fight, sorry. Kell was meant to fight in March. I was training for that fight also to be on the undercard. And we were doing a bike ride. In Spain, we used to always go to the Canary Islands, Fort Ventura. We used to do bike rides, long bike rides, 50, 60, 70 miles. This was a tough one. Me, Kell, Barry and Dom were doing the bike ride at the time. So we come to the peak of the hill, and me and Kell decided to get some pictures with the statue at the highest point. Dom and Barry had rode off. So coming back round, so now we're on the descent coming down, and I've never been on that route before. There was a tight bend which I didn't know. Kell was just in front of me. He zoomed down. I come off. It was either fly off the cliff. There's only one little barrier, single barrier. Fly off the cliff, or do a sharp right turn. And I put my hand down. I fell over. I fell off the bike. I can remember falling and thinking, I'll get straight back up. I'll be all right. I got up, grabbed my bike. Thought, I can't feel my left hand here. I looked down and I could see my bone, the whole joint, my ligaments, my tendons hanging out of my wrist. I could see my bone. Literally, my ligaments, I could see them. I couldn't feel my hand. I couldn't feel nothing. My body went into shock. My first thoughts, Mum and Dad are going to kill me. Second thoughts, I'm going to lose my hand. Third thoughts, shouted Kell. Somehow he heard me, he stopped. He come running back. What? Looked at my hand, he couldn't believe it. He turned around, ran away with shout. Come back, obviously. We're like, oh fuck, what are we going to do here? What are we going to do? 2 cars drove past. One drove past, we flagged them down. They looked at my hand, they drove off. Second one drove past, looked at my hand, they drove off. Third one, a lovely young couple. They were very, very good. We didn't get the names, but they were great. They said, okay, no problem. They got us in, drove us, I think it was 15, 20 minutes to the hospital. January the 6th, so 15, 20 minutes to the hospital. Got to the hospital, and then whatever, I had 2 operations in Spain. Patched me up. Patched me up to get back. Next 2-3 days, got a flight back. When I come back here, I had 2 more operations, one like 6-7 hour operation. And they said, look, you'd never fight again. They go, boxing, we'll give you a 2% chance of boxing again. That was 2019, January time. That was January, so that was that. They opened my wrist up to complete the operation. They found debris from Fort Ventura in my wrist. So the Fort Ventura was just a batch-up job. They didn't even clean my wrist out properly. But that was that. They said I'd never fight again. But in my own head at that time, I thought, yeah, whatever. I was young. I was 20, I think I was 21, and my career was basically over, really. But at that time, I was like, no. Yeah, I said to them, yeah, okay, whatever. But in my own head, there was no chance. 100% fighting again. And literally, it was a year to the month where I did box again. And then, you know, we moved forward. We had about, I think I had another 9, 10
Just before we
fights.
get to that, so obviously Kell Brook, obviously,
Yeah.
because fans are going to find this quite interesting,
Yeah,
especially because he's fighting in a few
Yeah.
days. So am I right in saying he's flagged the car down for you?
Yeah. Kel was flagging the people down. There was
Yeah.
flag 2 down. Like, Kel was funny, man. Like, me and Kel now, that's a special moment that we share in our life. Like,
Yeah.
he's seen my flesh. Nobody else has seen that. Like, that moment is mad when you look back. Like, me and Kel, I saw at the gym yesterday. And like, it's just, we've got that weird kind of bond now with that. We
And
share
then-
a special moment.
So just tell us, so am I right in saying a car's pulled over? You
2 pulled over and they saw my wrist and drove off.
But the car that obviously got you to the hospital,
me
is
and
it?
Kel jumped in. We left the bikes, put the
Yeah.
bikes to the side of the road, and then we, so this one, Kel rang Dom. I forgot, I missed this bit. So when we realised, fuck, Kel rang Dom. Dom, a teeth fell off his wrist, his bones hanging out. Dom went, piss off, Kel, what are you lying for? Because we were ahead of them, and then we went up to get the pictures. So they overtook us. So they thought we were just chatting it just to get them back, to get back on track with them guys. And Dom like, no, shut up. And cut the phone off. That's where we started flagging the cars down, and then we left our bikes and we jumped in the car with the young couple.
And how was that journey going from, you know, because I believe you was middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it
So-
was up in the mountains. It was,
And obviously the amount of blood you must have been losing at that time
to
as
be
well.
honest, the blood wasn't too bad. It was just dripping because it was like the bone was.
I've seen the pictures. they
Yeah,
look pretty-
so the bone was out of them scars, but it was like tight, so it was only dripping. It wasn't like pouring blood or gushing blood. And again, the pain, it was weird how I could still move my fingers vaguely. I couldn't feel nothing. Like, the pain wasn't what you think. Like, the pain, I've been in more pain before, just in normal little stuff.
And then obviously the journey to the hospital. I'm sure the fans want to know, how did Kell manage to avoid looking at your wrist?
Kel was, bless him, like, he was pale. I think he was more pale than I was.
Yeah.
Like, he was just like thinking all sorts. I can't imagine. I don't know what he was thinking. To be honest, we've never actually had the conversation of what were you thinking at the time.
Yeah.
But
I'm going to ask him that. Hopefully
yeah,
we get to
100%.
speak to him.
Next time, ask him what we. Yeah, definitely. That'd be a good one. But
So would I be right in saying it probably saved your life that day? You know, if he never turned around at that moment.
I don't know where. To be honest, that's what I'm saying. I get goosebumps. I don't know.
I know would have stopped for your young Asian guy, middle of nowhere,
Exactly,
top of
with
a
the-
mountain
with
in
the-
Spain
yeah.
with his arm hanging off.
Yeah, to be that scary. I never thought that. But yeah, that's a mad one.
That's an
That's
amazing,
crazy.
amazing story. So,
Yeah.
and then obviously moving on, you come back,
Yeah.
you fought.
That was a good one.
Oh,
Andreas
obviously,
Meyer.
yeah,
That was a great
a
one.
random
That was
guy
it.
from
Yeah.
Kazakhstan who was
Yeah.
5-0 with
Good
4
bunch of it.
knockouts. It didn't end too well.
Again.
Just tell me, like, as a young fighter, because I know you lost pride to
Yeah.
that, but that was a
That was-
while ago.
yeah.
But you know, that was your second coming.
Yeah.
How was it dealing with that? You obviously come
was a
back,
tough one.
ITV,
Yeah.
and that was going to
Good
be a
build-up.
launch.
I had a lot of sponsors on board for that. The
How
hype
you
was
did?
good. I think looking back, obviously, the comeback was probably rushed. My hand was nowhere. My hand never got to 100%. The best it probably got was 60. For that fight, it was probably 45, 50. 65 was probably the best it got. But yeah, for that fight, I was probably on about 45, 50% of what it could have been. Again, the build-up for that fight, we got there very late. You know, we got there after you, I think. There was a lot of traffic with a few problems. We got there very late, very, very quick warm-up. And even from the 15, 20 seconds, first 20 seconds of that fight, you could see that I wasn't in a mental fit state to be able to compete, or be like, it was just shocking. I don't recognize myself. I've been beat before. I've been beat 3 times now, but in that one, I don't recognize myself. The other 2, I got beat fair and square. You know, James Henson was better than me, no problem. The other fella, he beat me on that night. Was a bigger, stronger man.
Okay.
But that fight, I don't recognize myself.
So just moving on to 2 fights I think were your career highlights. The Jamie Robinson fight, because
Yeah.
you headlined Sky Sports.
Yeah.
Then the Lee Appleyard
Yeah.
fight. Well, Lee at the time was the English champion, and I think there was talks of a WBA title
Yeah,
being on the
something,
line,
yeah.
but it never materialised. So obviously you managed to bring yourself back again. Big fight, Lee Appleyard, local derby, and you was probably the underdog going into that fight.
4-1 underdog. One of my
4 to
friends
1
won a bit of
underdog
money
going
on me.
into
Yeah.
that fight, and Lee was on form as well.
Yeah.
So just describe to me how that felt for you to fight on Sky Sports. I think it was a Facebook stream.
Yeah. That night was, I think everything just, for me, that was, obviously looking back, that was my best night. My performance was good. I still believe I could do better, but that was a good performance. The training camp was fantastic. We had two spells out in Fort Ventura, did a couple of bike rides again. This time I stayed on the bike. But the camps were great. Obviously, Kel was fighting. That show was a stacked show with the lads from our gym at the time. Obviously, Kel topping the bill. Barry was on it. Lee Wood was on it. I was on it. And we all performed. We all had a very, very good camp. I remember some of the names that were in that camp. We had Jason Quigley with us at that time. Liam Williams had just come. Billy Joe was in that camp. Terry Flanagan came out and joined us for that camp. I had Kel, but any young fighter at that time, I think I was 22, 23 years old. Still not know it. I'm barely in my peak now, but at that time I think I was 22, training with them sort of fighters. Literally 5, 6, 7 world level fighters I was training with. It was unbelievable. My confidence was sky high. To be honest, we didn't really train for Lee Apayod. We trained for me to be the best I was, and I was good. I was a good Atif Shafiq that night, and a good Atif Shafiq would be the best Lee Apayod all day long, and that's what I did. To be honest, it was an easy job. The training was hard, and the fight was very easy.
And it was a great performance.
Yeah, it was good.
You stopped Lee, and I don't think till this day, even Lee's carried on fighting, and he's done well. Nobody stopped him in that sort of style.
Yeah, no. Again, like I said, on my best night. At the time, I wasn't too fussed that I didn't win the English title, even though he was English champion. That fight, politics, whatever. I would have, looking back now, it's a shame that I didn't win the English title because I retired and I've not won a belt. That's a shame. At the time, I remember we had the conversation. I said, "Oh, sorry, I wasn't too fussed because I believed I was going to achieve much more."
You should have had that as an accolade, an English title or a
definitely.
WBA international. Which
something. It would have been nice to retire with some silverware, but it's fine. I'm content with my career.
Up in this gym somewhere.
Yeah, it would have been nice, but it's okay.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And then moving on, just so fans can understand, obviously a big performance for you. I think a couple of fights after you decided to change trainers. Yeah. So you left the INGLE gym. Obviously, you was there from day one. With Brendan, Dom, and obviously. Must have been a huge decision. Do you want to try and explain to us why you felt you needed to leave the gym?
So that was the year Brendan passed. I think it was the summertime. And the gym was very, very, very busy at the time. It was stacked. I think the names in that gym, like I mentioned there, a few more came as well. So the gym was extremely busy at the time, and I felt where I was. After beating Lee Apayod, it was March. I'd not got an opportunity to fight again up until November. Which was, I don't know, a bit of politics sometimes. Again, with my style and where I was at the time, it was the Who Needs Me club. Really, a tricky opponent. Probably hit him, knock him out maybe, but it's a tough night for most people. It's tricky. So I don't think no one was lined up to box me at the time. And I just felt I needed a change. Obviously, Brendan passed the gym. The atmosphere was a bit different. It was very, very busy. I thought for myself it was time just to move on and just freshen things up. So at the time, managed by Dave Caldwell, made the move there. Jordan was there at the time, managed and trained by Dave. He was good, he was doing well, so I thought Dave's a local guy. I've known him from around the circuit, boxed at some of his shows. So got signed up to manage by him, and trained with Haroon Headley. One of my friends recommended him. Did a couple of tester sessions. I enjoyed it. It was good. So I was travelling to Manchester 4 times a week, training with H there. And it was a decent year. The performances went fantastic, but I enjoyed it. It was a good experience, definitely a great experience.
And then going on to your last fight, James Tennyson. Thinking back now, was it the right fight at the right time for you?
No, thinking back, it was a load of bollocks, really, if I'm being blunt. I was nowhere near James Tennyson's level. But I'm a fighter. If I get offered a fight, I'm going to say yeah. Especially one that I believe I could. In my head, I believed I could outbox him for 10 rounds. Looking back, I didn't have the ability. I had the ability to do it, but I didn't have the mental capacity to be able to be disciplined to do that for 10 rounds. A round and a half, I boxed nice. I look back and I think I was boxing all right, but then that split second, sitting on the ropes too soon, I got hit with the peach of a punch. Obviously, and Tennyson can punch. If he hit anybody clean on the chin, at world level, he'd knock him out. He was a former European champion. I was a kid that looked good at English level, and that was about it. But at the time, my manager offered me the fight, and I took it because, again, as a fighter, I'm not going to say no.
Obviously, taking such a big risk back then, obviously, fighters nowadays, so they can learn from it. Financially, was it worth it?
No, was it, folks?
Putting your career on the line for that?
No, it wasn't worth anything. It wasn't worth. Again, I feel if I was at Ingles, that fight wouldn't have even. It would have been offered to the Ingles. They would have said, Atif, you know what? We've been offered this fight, but we don't think it's right for you. They've done that in the past for me. I've said yes to fight. They've said, nah, to be honest, we've been offered this, but it's not the right time. If it was at the Ingles at the time, they wouldn't have took that fight. They would have said, Atif.
Who made the decision for you to have that fight?
Dave Caldwell was the one that offered me the fight, and he said, oh, it's a good fight to take. So again, as a fighter, I took the fight. Okay. And that's that.
Right, and then obviously it didn't work out for you, and then you decided shortly after that you was going to hang up the gloves.
Again, I was back in training. I got beat. I went on a little holiday, come back. and I was back in Manchester, back in training. I was back to ready to fight again. Again, that year though, the pain of I was going through my hand every week. By Thursday, Friday, I was in excruciating pain. But the fighter I was, the fighter I am, I just back of my mind, it's all right, no problem. Get on with it. But it was getting worse and worse. But I was back in training. So like I said, we were going to fight on the Sam Kinnock show. I think it's Sam Kinnock, yeah, in Scotland. H saw the deal. He was friends with Sam. Sam said, "Look, I'll get him out." I had a sponsor at the time who was going to cover some tickets for me. I was in training to go and fight in Scotland. I think it was in October, but that fell through, and I was a bit disheartened. Whatever, just politics, load of crap. Things happened. So then I had my checkup for my wrist. I was already down as it was. I had a checkup for my wrist, and then I was told, "Look, the hand, it's the cartilage in the wrist is almost nothing there, and there's nothing there." So I thought with the split with the training situation, the management, things weren't going well, and then that was the final blow. I thought, you know what, it's not my way. This sometimes some things just aren't meant to be. This is why I'm content with my career, because I always gave it my all. I never really cut corners. I always tried my best, and I always, like I said, gave it my all. But I feel what was meant to be was what happened. I did as much as I could. Probably had the ability to win a British title. I didn't win one, which is a shame, but it is what it is. Again, now hopefully moving forward I can produce a British, Commonwealth, European World Champions in the future.
And going on to that, I think you've summed up your career pretty well there. And just going on to your gym, Unity Boxing Centre, do you want to tell us what the address is and where fans can find it?
Yeah, we're on Old Walk Lane, S65 3SR, Unity Boxing Centre. You know, Unity, back when I boxed at INGLE's 12, 13 years ago, it was Unity ABC. That was Brendan Ingles Amateur Boxing Club back then. So I said to Abdullah, when we set this up, I wanted the amateur club to be called Unity, just to pay homage to Brendan, and that's where we are now.
So this gym is basically an inspiration from Brendan Ingle and
100%.
the things you've learnt under Brendan,
Definitely.
the values and the training.
Exactly, the boxing's the last thing really. It's more about having the positive influence on the children, on the youngsters coming up. It's a place for them to come and burn off a bit of energy rather than spending time on the streets. You know, I work in schools during the day, and the kids that I work with in schools are now coming here, and it fills me with joy that I can, you know, pass on, continue the legacy that Brendan has left. You know, these young kids don't know Brendan. I did, and through me, hopefully, they'll get the teachings of Brendan, and that's the main thing that I want to do.
And looking at the location of this gym, it's pretty central to all 4 or 5 different parts of Rotherham.
Yeah, exactly.
Doncaster as well.
Yeah, we've got a good. We're in the middle of, exactly like you just said, a good 4 or 5 different areas, and we are getting a lot of different ethnicities, different groups of kids all mixing together, and like we said, bringing unity back to the community.
And then obviously you're going to be teaching, you know, Brendan's philosophies, and I've heard you before in the gym. I've been watching, you know, some of the quotes that you're constantly using on the young kids, stuff that you've learned. Is there any particular quote that sticks with you from, you know, what you learned under Brendan? Because I bet there's a few that'll probably never leave you. I'll put you on the spot.
You have. Brendan used to say, "Don't have idiots around you, and don't have idiots looking after you." That was one of them. There's another one that I had to use. The kids from Dinnington, they come from Dinnington, they sit here, they get here 6:45, their session starts at 7, it finishes at 8:15, and then we have the adult session at 8:15, but they'll be in the weight side and they'll be here till 9:30. And I remember as a kid, I used to be the first in and the last out as a teenager. I used to get in the gym at 4 o'clock, I used to leave at 6:30. At 6:30, Brendan would say, "Go home to your mothers, boys, go home to your mothers." And I was last week, at 9:30, I'm telling the kids, "Go home to your mothers, go home to your mothers," in the Irish accent. Just it makes me smile just remembering Brendan, and I'm going to start getting the Irish music on as well.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, whiskey in the jar.
Atif, I wish you all the best with your gym. You've got a great setup here, and obviously pretty much I've known you all your career, and I think nobody can question your dedication to the sport, because you was fighting Saturday, you was back in the gym Monday, and unfortunately, you know, injuries, matchmaking maybe, and a number of other things probably halted you from getting to the top, because you had the ability to go a lot further, and as you've already said. So I wish you all the best in your boxing career. Is there anything you want to tell us or tell your fans that have followed your career, you know,
thank you to everyone for the support. You know, we're on this next chapter now, and I've had a good reaction from everybody online. We're here from 6 o'clock. We've got youngsters 6 till 7, teenagers 7 till 8:15, adults 8:15 till 9:30. We're here every day, Monday to Thursday, and then Saturday mornings. You know, it's for the community. Come down, get involved, just pop your heads in, say hello.
And before I let you go, I've got to ask you, Amir Khan, Kell Brook, and I know you're close with Kell, but I also know you've had some, a decent friendship with Amir Khan as well. How's that fight gonna go?
In my early 20s, Amir, even though I trained with Kell, Amir did look after me a little bit, give me some good props. So I've got a lot of respect for Amir. He's somebody that paved the way for the British Asians now that are smashing it. But Kell's, again, somebody that I've known from being a teenager, and he's a very good friend of mine. And again, I was at the gym yesterday. He's looking phenomenal. He's looking... I said to him, I goes, Kell, how old are you? 28, 29, because he's looking that good. I think Kell by stoppage.
Okay. Well, thank you for being honest there and not sitting on the fence. Atif, wish you all the best and thank you for taking the time out and speaking to us.
Thank you.